Hello and welcome to Raw Chatter. I am your host speaking, Vicky Midwood, and this is all about being real and raw and honest about the things that affect how we think, how we feel, and how we function. And I've been interviewing quite a lot of people recently, and I thought, it's time we had a solo episode because this is a topic that keeps on coming up over and over and over again. For most of my clients, and it absolutely was my story and still is, I think, to some degree. And this is why I think it's so important, because there's not one of you listening, I don't think, is who isn't going to resonate with some of what I'm sharing. I'm talking about working hard to prove our worth. And really what I want to talk about is worthiness, because it's such an important topic, but maybe not in the way that you think, because most people are not walking around going, I don't feel worthy. Right? It's not something we do, is it? But it does show up more subtly than that. When we are not feeling necessarily deserving or worthy within ourselves, it can look like being very generous with our time. It can look like hard work. It can look like having really high standards. And it can look like being very, very independent, which all seem like really positive things and things that we get praised for. And sometimes they are exactly what they appear to be. But what is driving that? Because the same behavior can come from integrity, being in alignment with just who you are, or it can come from a need to prove your worth. So this week, I go to a local LinkedIn local networking group every Thursday, not every Thursday, once a month, the first Thursday of the month. And it's a room full of local business owners. And we started off with a small group, and I was right there from the get-go, which is great because we're growing together and we're getting to know each other. And everybody in that room is about saying what they do, how they help people, what's new, what they are doing differently at the moment, what offers they've got coming up. They're asking for introductions. They're talking about who is it that they can help, who would they like to be introduced to. And there is not a rhythm of apology for wanting to do business and to help people to improve their business. That's what everybody is there for. They're not there to sell. They're there to help you to say, hey, do you know somebody who may need this thing that I am offering? And there's no qualms about it. It's very natural. It's very non-salesy. None of them are coming from a place of, am I worthy? Have I done enough to deserve to ask for what I'm asking for? And so what I want to kind of work through is this, that worthiness doesn't always look like low self-worth, because within that room, I'm sure a lot of people have had to practice standing up there and asking for what they want and being open to allowing themselves to feel uncomfortable in that scenario. But also, worthiness shows up in other ways, right? It can be saying, I'm fine, refusing help, for example. So if somebody opens the door for you, offers to carry what looks like a heavy shopping bag or lift it up and put it in the boot, you go, no, I'm fine, thank you. When actually you could have taken the help. Is it saying yes because saying no feels foolish? It could be that worthiness shows up at undercharging in your business. Oh, I'm not worthy to charge X, Y, or Z. It could be that you work through lunch when you don't actually need to, but because everybody else is doing it, you feel that you won't be as valuable as they appear to be if you don't. It may be that you just give more to each of your clients and give extra because you believe that you have to give extra value to prove that you are good enough, that you are actually worth them investing in. Or it could be that you struggle to receive a compliment, that this old thing, oh no, So how many times has somebody complimented you on what you're wearing and you've immediately gone to, oh, I've had it for months, or, oh, I got it from the charity shop, or whatever. You've reduced that compliment down. And maybe it can show up as you believing that you have to earn your rest, that you're not allowed to just do nothing without having worked hard first. Now, these behaviors all sound on the surface to be quite different, don't they? But actually, underneath them, it is that same question. Have I done enough to deserve what I am receiving? And this is where I want you to ask some questions to yourself and just be really honest, because there's only you answering them and it's about you. How comfortable are you at receiving the following? Now, if you're anything like me, you'll be comfortable with some of them, but not very comfortable with others. So, how comfortable are you at receiving help from other people? Be honest. How comfortable are you receiving money from other people? How comfortable are you at receiving praise? How comfortable are you at receiving an opportunity that's literally handed to you on a plate? How comfortable are you receiving somebody else's time? Knowing that somebody else has gone out of their way to spend some time with you, helping you. How comfortable are you at allowing yourself to rest? How comfortable are you at receiving attention or spotlights on you? How comfortable are you with that? And how comfortable are you just receiving support? Now, a lot of the times, the way that we feel able to receive these things or not is very much dependent on our upbringing, the way that we learned to survive as a child. And we all have to learn to survive as a child, because there's no handbook for a parent and there's no handbook for being a child either. So we all look at what's acceptable, at what goes on around us, how other people respond, how other people react. And maybe you learned very early on not to ask for too much. Maybe you came from a background of being really, really useful and getting praise for it. And you saw that those who weren't particularly useful maybe got into trouble or got chastised. So you decided that was the way that you needed to be. Perhaps you were also praised or noticed for not making a fuss, that you just got on with stuff and you seemed to take it all in your stride, and that was met with a positive response. Maybe you were just like really easygoing, and that is just the way that you've always been because people around you were also very easygoing. Perhaps you learned to just do things on your own because there wasn't somebody around to ask for help. And so you figured it out by yourself and you just got on with it and you coped because you had no choice. All of these things then become a part of how you see yourself and how you show up, which is often why if somebody offers you help, you automatically go, no, I'm fine, thanks. Right? Even if you're clearly not. And so if receiving does feel uncomfortable, you'll often find a way of paying for it with something else. So maybe you feel that you have to repay or reciprocate with your time, with your energy, that you have to do a tit for tat. Well, they helped me here, so I need to help them out there. Well, they gave me a compliment here, so I have to reciprocate and give them a compliment there. Maybe you feel that you have to work extra hard to make up for having some time out or a holiday. And this is so prevalent at this time of year. People feeling guilty for going away on holiday, even though this is the holiday season, because it either means that people left at work have to do more to cover for them, or they just think, well, do you know what? I'm going to have to work extra hard and I don't even know if it's worth it. I'm better off just being here for my clients and for everybody all of the time. All of this stuff means that you start to realize that you are trying to prove something all of the time. And that, my lovelies, is exhausting. And there is no doubt that we have an epidemic of exhaustion at the moment. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't work hard. That is not what I'm saying at all. Anybody who is running their own business knows that you have got to put in the effort. But working hard doesn't equal working longer. Working hard doesn't mean giving extra time to people just because you think that your worth is dependent upon how long you spend with somebody. Hard work can be brilliant, right? And going above and beyond can be really, really appropriate. It absolutely can. Caring about your clients, caring about your service, caring about how you show up in your work is so important. I'm a great believer in excellence. And sometimes you do have to work late because that is required. And sometimes you do have to give more. And sometimes just doing the right thing in and of that moment just genuinely does require more of you. But where is it coming from? What is the driver behind it? It's the integrity that matters. Am I doing this because it is the kind thing to do? Or am I doing it because I'm trying to prove something about myself? Could be to myself. It doesn't mean that you're having to prove something necessarily to other people. It may be that you're doing it to prove to yourself that you are valuable, that you are worthy. I also spent an afternoon with a client this week as well. And we went through just how she can basically really earn more money by working less. And this is such a poignant point for so many people who undercharge because when they set up their business, they didn't think that they were worth charging more. And often they went by comparing themselves to other people, not recognizing that their own value was more than the people that they were comparing themselves to. And just helping somebody to see what actually value means. Because your value isn't based upon how many certificates you've got or how many first class honors degrees or PhDs that you have. Your value is dependent upon your skills and your excellence at the work that you do, if we're talking about from a work point of view. And I am really here. It's about how much knowledge and experience do you have? How many different nuances, how many different scenarios, how many different ways have you implemented the work that you do? Right? What is your skill set that is actually unique to you? Because just about every single business owner I know has a very unique skill set. You wouldn't be in business on your own if you were just mediocre and exactly the same as everybody else. And understanding that it's about knowing what is valuable to other people. Because what I can tell you is this: people don't value how many certificates you have. Half the time, they don't even know what those certificate means or what it's entailed for you to get them. So how can they value them? They have no understanding of them. The same with degrees to some extent. Unfortunately, the more and more people who are going to university and the more and more people who are getting first-class degrees means that the worth, perhaps, that we've put or that certain people put on a degree is not the same as it used to be. And what we're finding is that there's an awful lot of people with first-class degrees who cannot get a job because they haven't got any experience. They don't actually know how to implement the stuff. Yes, they can regurgitate what they've learned and they can write a great essay and a great dissertation. But if they can't implement it and if they can't communicate it well, and if they can't explain how they can help other people through the knowledge that they have gleaned, then is their value the same as somebody who has potentially been working in that field for 5, 6, 7 years, but who doesn't have a degree? Well, that's up for debate, and I'm not saying either or. But my point is this: if we decide that our worthiness is about how long we're working or how hard we're working, then we are going to always feel like we haven't proved enough. Because if we believe that our worth comes from have I done enough, well, guess what? There's always more that you can do. Always. There will always be more. And this is something that, sorry, I'm looking at my notes because I think this is such an important topic. And the most important thing that I kind of want us to come across is that I want to come across in this podcast episode is that being good enough at what you do means trusting yourself enough to know when more is required, but when enough is actually enough. Now, I know, and Marissa Peer, who I do like to listen to her podcasts a lot. There's a number of podcasts that I listen to, folks. And by the way, if you're interested in the podcast that I listen to, I can put a list in here of if anybody wants it. Just put in the comments if you want a list of podcasts that I find really helpful and really interesting. But Marissa Peer talks about how we kind of tend to fall into categories when we're in families. And there's normally the reliable one. There's normally the smart one. There's usually the ill one. And there is often the rebel one, right? Now, there can be all kinds of nuances on that. So think about it. If you have always been the reliable one, or the strong one, or the hardworking one, the one who never needs anything, the one who just copes and gets on with it, the one that everybody can depend on, the one who always delivers, then of course, if you start trying to do less than that, if you don't show up the same way, it's going to feel really uncomfortable, because you're not just changing what you're doing and how you're behaving, you're actually changing your identity. It's who you are. You're challenging the evidence that you are this particular thing. And you have lived up to your beliefs, which is what most of us do, or we live down to them, either which way. But our beliefs basically will decide who we are showing up as. So if you genuinely believe that you are the one everybody depends on, you will make yourself available and be the one everybody depends on. And so this is where it becomes really difficult to make changes, because you're challenging the evidence that you have gathered over years that have tied into the belief that you have repeated over decades. And so saying things like, well, I know I need to have better boundaries. I know I should rest. I know I should delegate. I know that I need to kind of charge more money. I know all this stuff. But information isn't what helps us to change. In fact, information is everywhere. It's the understanding behind it. Now, the understanding is rare. And this is where we've got to help ourselves to recognize that if we're constantly trying to prove ourselves, if we're constantly coming from a place of lack and I don't deserve, what is proving your worth actually costing you? Because I know that the people I speak to and I help, it's costing them definitely their energy. It's costing them their joy of life, their enjoyment. It's costing them their sleep. It's often costing them their health. They end up with all kinds of back pains, knee problems, gut issues, etc. It can very often cost them their relationships because they never feel good enough. And that can be so frustrating for the person that you are with. If you're always striving to be better, to prove yourself, it's not great for the person who is with you. Is it costing you profit in your business? Well, if you're undercharging, it probably is. Is it costing you time? Are you spending way, way longer doing stuff when actually you could do it in half the time if you weren't constantly trying to prove that you were worthy and that you were deserving? And actually, is it costing you your ability to be present for the people who matter most? Are you missing out on family time and family birthdays and holidays, being fully present because you are trying to always prove your worthiness? And potentially, at what point did being excellent at what you do become needing to exhaust yourself to prove that you are indeed excellent at it? Let that land for a minute. I'll repeat it if you want. At what point did being excellent at what you do become needing to exhaust yourself to prove that you are indeed excellent at it? So If this is landing and maybe you feel a little bit triggered, and kind of that's what I'm wanting, because so many people, I think, need to look at this stuff and really help themselves to start to look at things from a different viewpoint. So if you're open to it, I have a little bit of an exercise for you guys. Have a little look at the last 7 days and ask yourself, where did I give more than I actually needed to? Where did I refuse help? Where did I make something harder than it needed to be? Where did I say yes when actually I wanted to say no? Where did I feel guilty for resting? Where did I do something because I didn't want somebody to feel badly of me? Now, this is a huge one for the majority of my clients, and it was a massive one for me. Now, think about how many times have you done that, and where have you done it in the last 7 days? And where and when have I felt I had to earn something I was already entitled to receive? Now, out of those things that you've written down, just pick one. Just pick one of them. And then ask yourself this. What did I believe it would say about me if I didn't do that? Now, don't judge the answer, just notice it, because that gives the information about what is driving the behavior. See, working hard isn't the problem. Caring isn't the problem. Being generous is not the problem. And wanting to be brilliant at what you do isn't the problem. But needing those things to prove that you deserve your success, your money, your rest, your relationship, or your place in a different space is very, very different. You don't need to stop being ambitious, and you don't need to lower your standards. But you do need to understand, why are you doing what you are doing? Because once you understand that, you get to choose whether that behavior does actually still serve you. Because information is everywhere, but understanding is rare. Thank you for watching and listening. And I'm going to leave you with this, as I always do. We only have one life, as far as we know, and one body. So please look after it, because it is looking after you. If you haven't yet liked and subscribed, please do, folks. If you know that this episode is going to be super helpful to somebody, pass it on to them. And the questions, if you didn't catch them as I was saying them and you didn't do them as I was going through them, they are in the description and they are in the show notes. And I really do suggest that right now, August is the time for you to just sit down and get honest, because you can change the trajectory of the rest of this year and your future if you make the decision to decide that you don't have to prove your worth to have the life, the finances, the relationships, and the health that you would like. And if you would like to have a conversation with me about just how you can go about changing things, because you don't really know where to start, then you will find in the show notes and in the description how you can work with me and just what you can do to help yourself think, feel, and function better.